fallen a few times and like landed on my backpack with all the stuff, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it always ended up to be okay though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you even decide to pick up a camera initially?
I like don't even remember, to be honest with you. That industry is like brutal. I had such a hard time. I was only there for like 4 months. It was just like so intense. Like,
What about it?
constantly telling you to like lose weight.
Hi, this is Lauren Engel of Sidewalk Talk. I'm here with Olivia Van Rye.
Hey.
So you were born in, was it Hartford in Connecticut?
It was West Hartford,
Yeah.
Connecticut, but same area, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I'm East Coast. Yeah.
Were your family born there as well? Like all your families there?
Yeah, well, my mom was actually born in Indiana and like the Ohio area, and then my dad is from Connecticut originally.
Oh.
And then, yeah, my mom moved there when she was like 18, and then they met, and that's where I grew up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like it there a lot. It's very different than here in California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself back then growing up?
I would say, like, I was super stubborn, I guess, but I was always, like, very creative, like, always into sports and stuff, and I was a huge tomboy. Like, literally up until 3rd grade, I would wear, like, my neighbors' like hand-me-down clothes, like boys' clothes. Like, I'm not even kidding, my hair was like shaved like a boy, and like all the kids would like think I was a boy. And then
Like
one
all
day,
of it?
oh, like all of it, yeah. Like, well, okay, it wasn't like 11 in Stranger Things, like that type of short, but it was a definitely like boy haircut.
Yeah.
And then one day in 3rd grade, I all of a sudden like wanted to start wearing skirts, and everyone was like, what is
happened?
going
Yeah.
on? Yeah. But yeah, I was a total tomboy,
Yeah.
and always into sports, like always played with the boys, like that type of thing. So yeah, that was my childhood.
Yeah. Were you into school?
No, I hated school, like literally ever since like kindergarten, I hated school.
Yeah.
Like, and then once it got to high school, it just got even like harder for me. I liked the social aspect and I loved playing sports, but like the schoolwork part was just never, ever my thing. Like
Yeah.
ever. I hated it so much.
But are your parents creative?
My dad is very creative. I think that's
Yeah.
where I got it from. He was like always an artist, and then when he went to college, I think he wanted to major in art, but ended up majoring in math. So I definitely did not get that
that's like a
from.
360.
Yeah, I did not
Oh
get
my
that from him.
gosh. Well, what do they do now?
My dad doesn't work, but my mom is in insurance, so
Oh.
definitely not something that I really had like aspirations to do. But yeah, I definitely took
Yeah.
the creative path on that. 'Cause
Yeah.
yeah.
Are either of their sides creative, or where do you think you got your creativity from?
Yeah, I don't know my dad's parents, but my aunt, who I'm pretty close with, is also very creative and like draws, paints, that type of thing. So I definitely got it from my dad's side.
Yeah.
My mom's side, as far as I know, is not creative at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family is like pretty small, so yeah.
Were you like into creative subjects in school though?
Yeah, like I always took like art classes. I always like, even in like elementary school, like as far back as I can remember, I took like art classes, and I mean they were mandatory, but I was definitely like, this is my favorite class to be in. Like
wow.
since I was younger, and then once I got into like high school, when I was actually able to pick my classes, like I took graphic design. You know, that's where I learned like Photoshop. That's where like in my graphics class, that's where we like made those tiny little pinhole cameras where you like make them yourself, and like it just stamps the image like onto a sheet. So that was like, that didn't really spark my interest in photography because I always had it, but it was definitely like an outlet in order for me to do it like every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then my senior year I took AP art. I don't know if every school in the US has it, but it's like advanced placement where you can like sign up for it, and basically like if you get a great score on it, like it looks really good to colleges. So I did that. So I was able to kind of like, it's called a concentration.
Yeah.
So you put it together and it's like 12 pieces that kind of like make sense together. So that was like one of my first big projects that I was able to like actually, I'm like so through a jungle. But yeah, that was really cool to do.
At one point you were also like snowboard.
Yeah, I was a snowboarder ever since snowboard instructor since like my freshman year of high school. So I kind of like meshed the two together. Like I would bring my camera like every day, like when I was up there, and I would make like these really lame like snowboard edits. But that was kind of like,
what kind of camera do you use for that type of thing?
When I was doing it, I was just on like a Canon 60D. So it was
Yeah.
like, you know, a DSLR, but it was definitely a smaller one. But
Well,
yeah.
this is like way before a GoPro, I guess.
Yeah.
They never really had that type of technology back then.
I think they like did, but I never really got into GoPro. I'm not really sure why.
Yeah.
I just always liked the feel of like a chunkier camera, I guess.
Damn, I would feel
Yeah.
so scared.
I know.
bringing
Oh
my
yeah,
DSLR on
it's
the
definitely
slopes.
scary. I've fallen a few times and like landed on my backpack with all the stuff, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. It always ended up to be okay. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you even decide to pick up a camera initially?
I like don't even remember, to be honest with you. It was definitely like maybe like 8th grade freshman year, and like one day I don't know, I think maybe actually my aunt, the one I was just talking
Yeah.
about, she always kind of like had cameras, and I would kind of like take an interest when I was at her house and just taking pictures of, I don't know, like her cat, you know. And then so all of a sudden I was like, I really want to save up to like get my first camera. So I did, and then I don't even know. I just really enjoyed it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you teach everything yourself? Like, did you go on YouTube, or how did you even learn how to do like color correction and taking pictures?
Like, yeah, YouTube for sure. But as far as the coloring, like, there's like a few people like early on that I was just like, this is incredible, like color correction, like on Instagram, and I was like, how can I make my
Yeah.
colors look like that? So I would just spend hours on Lightroom just like trying to like match that. And I would finally get it, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane that I'm
Yeah.
able to like do that. And then I guess after time, like I was able to finally kind of come up with my own style, I guess. If I like, I don't know, I get like really shy about it, but I guess like I have a style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember who your early photographer inspirations?
Yes, there was one. His name is Cesar Sebastian. He's an amazing photographer. He works with Steve Aoki, and he was
Oh.
one of the first people that I was like, oh my god, like how does he get his photos to look that way?
Yeah.
So he was actually one of the first people that I like DM'd on Instagram and was like, you know, that like, oh my god, I love your work. How do I do this? Like
Yeah.
that type of thing. And he actually answered.
Oh, how long ago was this?
That was, I think, like 2 years ago at this
Okay,
point. Yeah.
yeah.
And he answered, and I was like, and he was coming to Connecticut at the time with Aoki,
Yeah.
and I was like on a limb, like, or no, he like invited me to come,
wow.
and, or like I asked, he invited me, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like mind blown, like that this was even happening. Like, so I went, and like I was able to take some pictures, and I was like really, really happy with them. And like it was awesome to hang out with him. And I was just kind of like posting them, you know, working on the colors. And then after that, I guess I just got really inspired to like continue messaging like artists and whatever, and being like, let me shoot your show, you know, like
Yeah.
whatever. So that's kind of, I guess, how it started.
Yeah.
Just like that one thing that kind of led to another. But yeah, he's definitely like one of my biggest inspirations for
Yeah. And right after you graduated high school, did you just start modeling?
sure. Yeah, so throughout like high school, I honestly knew I didn't want to go to college, like 100%. Like even
Your-
senior year, I was like, I don't
Your
want to
parents
go.
didn't push you at all?
No, actually, that's like something I'm really, really thankful for, is my parents never like put pressure on me to like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were like, are you sure you don't want to go? And I was like, yeah. And I mean, like I said, I'm really, really stubborn, and I was like, I'm not going. Like, you know, no one is gonna like change my mind. I applied and stuff, but I just like knew it really wasn't like the path for me. That's like, I just knew for a fact that's not what I wanted to do. So, like my senior year, I knew I wanted to model. So when I graduated and over the summer, I was kind of like, you know, sending my stuff in, like, and then one day, like this one agency was super interested, and I was going like back and forth to New York like once a week, like on the train. And this agency like was interested, so they signed me, and I ended up moving to New York, which is like good and bad. I honestly like really, that industry is like brutal. I had such a hard time. I was only there for like 4 months. It was just like so intense, like
What about it?
constantly telling you to like lose weight, lose weight, like your hips need to be this size precisely, like your waist needs to be X amount of centimeters, and it's just like, how could I possibly live my life like always trying to like meet someone's standards when like you don't think there's anything wrong with you? So it's just like, it was really hard. I mean, like I was working at a restaurant in New York, and that was probably like the most fun things that I got to do, because like I was actually, I don't know, I love New York. I miss New York a lot.
But initially, what did you like about modeling that made you want to join the industry?
I'm not sure. I think it was just like honestly a combination of like the photography aspect of it. I don't know, like I don't mean for this to sound weird, but like I thought it was like fun to like take pictures of yourself and kind of like make yourself look a certain way in those photos. So that's kind of what attracted me too. I don't know, it was just something that I was always interested in. And then I did it and I ended up hating it. I mean, I'm not like against it. It just like, especially in New York, like the New York and like European markets are just like the most brutal markets like out there. So that it was really, really rough. Yeah. Like I was just like exhausted all the time. Like
were you dieting a lot too?
Fun. Oh yeah. Like, you know, and I knew at the time like it wasn't right. Like I was never like, no, like I just wanted it so bad that I was gonna do anything possible to like achieve that goal, and dieting was obviously a part of it. So I like did it, and then I finally was like, this is like really fucked up. Like I should not be doing this to myself. Like, yeah, it was just, it wasn't like anything bad. It was just like restricting myself to like a certain diet, you know, and like don't eat chips, like don't eat this. And then I ended up becoming vegan. So like I was barely eating anything because that's a really hard lifestyle to keep up. Yeah.
Did it ever occur to you to do plus size? I mean, plus size is just like the size over straight. So it's not even that much of a jump.
Yeah, they always suggested that. I just thought it was like crazy. Well, I mean, obviously plus size modeling is amazing, but just the fact that there has to be like a word to describe like plus size, like why can't it just be modeling? It's like everyone has like their body and that should be accepted. Like there's just nothing else to say about it, you know? You know, I considered it, but I just at that time in my life, I was just like, had this gut feeling that I just like needed to get out of that. Like it was like toxic, you know? It was hard.
Yeah. And what did you do after that?
So I went home to Connecticut back with my family, and I would say like it was maybe 6 months of just kind of like, I was super like depressed, and like it, you know, I've always kind of like struggled with like depression, anxiety like my whole life. So it was definitely like hard to kind of have a big letdown like that and just like come home and be like, now what? Like that was like something that I've been thinking about doing for like 3-4 years, and it happened and now it's done. Like what do I do? And at that point I had actually sold my camera like to literally pay for rent, like, you know, so I didn't have like my camera. And then I was like working in restaurants back home and just kind of like doing that like daily routine, which I hate routines. Like I hate them. I like being able to do new stuff, like different stuff every day. So that was just like really bad for me. And then one day over the summer, I think it was August of like 2015. But yeah, so my friend Garrett from back home was actually living in New York at the time, like doing an internship. I think that was like after what would have been my freshman year of college. And he like invited me to come to this like, or just like come hang with him in the city. But he was kind of doing like music photography. And I was like, this was actually before like that whole Steve Aoki thing. So this was before that. But I had actually ended up like buying like a used like 60D for like $200, whatever. And it was just kind of like playing around with that again. And he took me to like this tiny little like music festival in like Brooklyn. And he had always done like music stuff and like worked kind of for like a music blog. And I was like really into it. And that like really inspired me to like get into music stuff too. And that's how I found Caesar on Instagram. And that's kind of what like, it did the spiral effect where I was just kind of like, wow, this is really cool. Like I'm going to go on Instagram and like find people. And that kind of like sparked my inspiration. And then, one thing happened after another.
What kind of music were you listening to at that point?
Like a lot of hip hop and like electronic, but nothing like super heavy, I guess I would say. Like I have like 4 or 5 friends back home that I would always go to like concerts with, like heavier concerts. Like they're super into like really intense like electronic music, but I would always go with them because it was so fun. Like so one of my first concerts, the first concert I ever went to was like Tyler the Creator. Like that was like for my like 16th birthday, so that was like really intense. Do you
remember who started showing you the electronic stuff, or do you find it yourself?
That's a good question. I think I like found it myself, and then there started to kind of be like a scene around it, and that's kind of what inspired me to listen more and kind of like discover new artists. But like one of my friends Justin back home was definitely one that like helped me like find some good music. Like we would always go to shows together. But yeah, there was kind of like a local scene. There's like one venue that they would always kind of bring like,
Yeah.
you know, just like how it is anywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you were sneaking your camera into like Webster, right?
Yeah, I would go to New York like very often, even after I moved home. Like I snuck my camera into Webster Hall quite often.
I've done that a bunch of times
Yeah,
too.
I miss New York so much, and it's closed now, which is so sad.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. But yeah, I snuck my camera in quite often, and like all I wanted from that was literally to get like that one shot, and I would like send it to them like in hopes that this person or artist would be like, this is sick, I'm gonna repost it. Like that was like what I wanted to do. So I was like,
did they get back to you?
Sometimes they did, and sometimes like no one would see it. But it was like, this was maybe a couple months after like the sneaking into Webster Hall thing.
Yeah.
This is actually where I met my boyfriend in America, was at this show in Philadelphia, and like I took pictures and like he reposted them, which was awesome, and then like Swizzy Mac reposted my photos, and I was like mind blown. Like this is insane that like an artist would like repost my picture. Like that is so cool.
Yeah. How long ago was this?
That was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. Trying to like piece all like the pieces together in my head. But before that, I think it was a Cash show in Connecticut, and I was there with Justin, the friend of mine that's really like into electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like bring my camera and like see what happens. So I got it inside, and like somehow like maybe security just wasn't being as like intense as they should have been, but I was able to kind of like get behind and like take some pictures. And then somehow like they allowed me on stage because I like knew someone that was like working there as just whatever. And then I met this guy, Aaron, who is actually Cash's tour manager, who's a really good friend of mine now.
Yeah.
And he lives out here now, which is really cool. But he like saw that I was kind of like being respectful and was like, okay, like why not? I'll let her like hang on stage, take some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking pictures of them, and I was able to send them to them. And then they like asked me to come shoot their show the next day in Boston, which isn't very far from Connecticut. And I was like, at the time, like, this is the start. This is my career, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Boston, I got some more pictures, and I was able to send it to them, and they were like reposting them, which was really cool, and like definitely helped my confidence a little bit, because obviously I felt like I was like not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But and then like the Instagram page, like Instagram has like a verified account called like Music. Have you seen that?
Oh, no, actually.
So they like just like repost music photos, but it's like by Instagram, and they reposted one of my pictures, and that was just like the most amazing thing at the time. Like it was so cool that they posted one of my pictures.
Yeah.
And they asked me like a couple questions, and I answered them, and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you already making a living off of this?
No, not at all. Like I definitely was not getting paid for those shows. I just was doing those more for like exposure purposes, which I definitely think is really, really important for a lot of people to do at the beginning of their careers.
Yeah. So you were like working at home?
Yeah. I was working at like a local restaurant, but on the weekends or whenever I could take a day off, like I was trying to do this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you say was the big turning point that like got you to like make a living off of it?
Probably when I met my boyfriend Americo, actually. That's when stuff like really started to happen. Obviously, like the two are unrelated because he's my boyfriend and that's like one side of my life, but also we work together, which is like really, really cool. Like, you know, after we met, I was really able to like take his project and really like brand it, I guess. So like we work really, really well together, and I think we're able to like make something pretty special. So that's really fun for me. But yeah, that definitely like changed my life like after we met, for sure.
Was it difficult dating earlier on? I mean, he's always traveling.
It was, but it was like really cute because like when I was in Connecticut, like we had literally met at like one of his shows in Boston. This was like maybe a couple months after that other Boston show. Yeah. And I was shooting. I DM'd him and I was like, hey, I love your music. Like, can I please shoot your show? Like blah blah blah. You know, like just that super desperate like DM. Like, please let me photograph your show. Like, I'll do it for free. And he like responded and was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then like the day came and like he didn't respond, like, and I was like, oh man, like this is awful. And then the promoter of that venue actually, like, I had reached out to also. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, sure, come and shoot. So I had kind of like another way in. Yeah. So I was shooting a show, and then like we ended up meeting, and like I don't know, we just like hit it off, I guess. Like, you
Yeah.
know, it was like one of those moments where you just kind of like know that this person is like amazing, I guess. And then the next day, ironically, I was actually shooting his show again in Philadelphia with like another promoter. So I was able to see him like the next night, and I obviously like we really wanted to see each other again, so he like flew out a couple weeks later and met me in New York. So we stayed there
so
for like
romantic.
Yeah,
Oh my
it was
god,
really
that's
cute.
like so spur of
Yeah,
the
it was
moment.
really
Damn.
cute. Yeah, so we were there for like 2 weeks together, and I guess like I don't know, like for us that was like enough to be like, okay, this is like for real, like let's do something about it.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's kind of what happened, and then not too shortly after that, like I came out to LA, and I guess now I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about his personality made you fall in love with him?
I don't know, like he's just really sweet and like nice. I don't know. I'm like really awkward about this stuff, but like no, I don't know. He's really like sweet and kind, and just like the way he, you know, his voice like is really nice. Not his voice. That sounds so creepy, but just, you know, like the way he talks to people is really cute and nice. And that's what I really like about him. Yeah.
Were you ever scared initially, like, doing photography, touring with him? It's like super 24/7. Did you think it would like affect your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did, but like literally, like we've been almost spending like the past 2 years together, like every single day, and like I don't get tired of him. So like I think that's like a good sign, I guess. You know. But yeah, I mean, at first it was definitely nerve-wracking, but also like I was just like so excited to be out here that it just, you know, it just kind of like happened. Like I can't believe 2 years has like already passed. Like it just has flown by.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, so like in a good way, and it's just kind of like, damn, I can't believe how fast time goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. Yeah.
So what are you working on or have upcoming plans for Boombox?
So right now, we've got like a month-long tour coming up, which is exciting. We're going to Asia, Australia, and New Zealand, which I'm really excited about. That'll be like my 3rd time in Australia, which is kind of insane. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. Right now, like on a day-to-day basis, we're just like literally, well, I mean, obviously he's doing music stuff, but like I'm just working on like a ton of like the creative stuff, like, you know, always working on videos, like tour assets, like Instagram stories and stuff. So like that's really fun for me to just kind of like, I don't know, I really like branding stuff. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Like branding things and kind of like making it the artist's own, and that's something that I really enjoy doing.
What kind of branding stuff
Boombox.
do you do with him?
Well, like we have like a few different artists that kind of like make those skulls that you see, or like the merch pieces, but like I would say like I curate everything.
Yeah.
Like, so like there's been tour flyers that I made, and we've had an artist like draw a skull, and it's amazing, and then like I'll put it together and kind of like make it that final product. So that's something that's like really fun for me. Like everything in the Instagram story that's not like America being like funny is like stuff that like I'll put in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like all the Instagram posts, like I don't know, like I'm literally obsessed with like making Instagram feeds and just like social media like match, I guess. Like, I guess if that makes sense. So like I'll spend just hours like, even that's why like Instagram is, I love Instagram, but it's so hard for me because I just like everything to like look perfect together.
Yeah.
And that's so
Yours
time
is so
consuming.
cohesive.
Thank you. I literally spend so much time on that, like just to make everything kind of like match properly.
Yeah.
It might be a little too excessive the way I stress over it, but I'm like, it's like so important to like have everything look good together for me.
Yeah.
But that's definitely what I do like for Boombox too, is just make everything like look right. I don't know. It's fun for me. Yeah.
What kind of camera gear do you use now?
So right now, I actually recently got the 1DX Mark II, the Canon 1DX Mark II.
Yeah.
But prior to that, I was on a Sony A7R II for video, and then a Canon 5D Mark III for photo.
Okay, I kind of similar, yeah.
It was a great setup, but I could just like I just couldn't stand having 2 cameras. Like that was so difficult for me. I just like my ideal camera like forever will be something that I can do photo and video on, and that I can switch over really quick, and then just have like that one lens that I use for like everything.
Yeah.
So I think I'm like on the road to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you do pictures on the Sony?
Okay, so I did at first, but personally the Sony camera is like too sharp for my style.
Same.
Like
I
right
have
out
both.
of
I have exactly Canon and Sony.
Yeah. It's like it's way too sharp for me. Like it literally was like like 42 like megapixels or something, which is just like
and
insane.
You can see it, like Canon's way more creamier. That's why
100%. Like I love Canon. Yeah, I love Canon. I love Canon forever, 100%.
Yeah. What about the 1D stood out to you?
Honestly, like there's a lot of like videographers that use it that I know of, so I was like, okay, there's got to be something about it that like makes these people want to use it, because you know, like you see so many people nowadays using Sony, and I was like, there's got to be something left in Canon. Like I know this isn't the end.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, researching, and I saw some amazing footage from that Canon, and so I like tested it out, and I really liked it, and obviously the photo is amazing. Like I knew that was never an issue.
Yeah.
But once I was like, okay, I can actually do both on this, like almost equally as good as I could do it on the Sony, like that's kind of what sold it for me.
Yeah.
For sure.
When did you actually start doing videos? Was that after you met Boombox?
I was always like into it, but I guess it pushed me to do it more because I knew it was like needed. So it like, yeah, it pushed me to kind of like work on more videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think your photography and video has changed from the early pictures or videos you made?
It's so crazy actually, because I was like on my old feed, like, or not my old feed, my feed yesterday, like just scrolling back. Like I used to make my like color tones really like harsh, like clarity was kind of up, and I'm looking back and that was like only 6 months ago, and I was like, oh, like this is so bad, like what was I thinking? Like,
yeah.
So I kind of feel like I finally am kind of coming into my own style where I'm not getting sick of it, I guess. Mm-hmm. Now it's kind of like more natural. Like that's kind of what I'm always going for, just like natural but with a twist, I guess.
Yeah.
But before, like, actually when I first met Americo, my color tones were like blue. Like everything was just blue. Like looking back, it was like cool, but now I'm like, wow, that
and
was
he
intense.
reposted that.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, and that was intense. I mean, it was definitely like an interesting like color tone.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't what my style is now.
Yeah.
So it's crazy even looking back 6 months ago to see like my style evolve.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
How would you say you've grown as a person since when you started?
As a person, I don't know, like I guess I've always been independent, but like I'm like more independent now because like obviously I'm not super close to my family, so like that makes it hard.
Oh, you mean like
location wise? Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean I talk to my mom and dad like literally every day, so which is good. But yeah, I don't know, like I don't know, like I've just like learned a lot of like little things. Like I've interacted with like a lot of different people, so like you kind of learn people more, I guess, being in this business. Like I've learned to kind of like be more cautious, like I don't know, when it comes to like maybe telling people certain things, or like, you know, keeping my personal stuff personal and work, you know, just like little things like that. But yeah, it's crazy, like just the difference of kind of like my friends at college versus like what I'm doing now. It's just like totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
Actually, were there any things that stood out to you about like the music industry or like photography that you didn't know? Like something surprising? Or something that you learned like over time?
The hardest thing I would say is just kind of like staying inspired, and like, you know, because like, you know, we do a lot of shows and it's kind of feels like the same thing over and over again. But like you just have to you have to work on like keeping it different every show, you know, like being inspired to like continue to like improve on your stuff, and not just be like, okay, this picture's like fine, whatever, I'll just edit it and here you go. You know, that's like the hardest part for me right now, I would say.
Other than the modeling time, what other challenges have you had?
I don't know, being inspired again is like one of the hardest things for me, especially right now, just kind of like what's that like next move kind of thing. Not really like next move, but it's kind of just like, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Just kind of like, how do I continue to improve? You know, like, okay, I think I've finally gotten my color correction down to somewhere that I really like.
Yeah.
What's my next step? Like, where do I go? Like, I don't know, like what can I learn more of? Like that's kind of a hard thing to like narrow down because there's so much. So it's just like, what's that first step that I want to do to like learn new stuff? Or like be a better, you know, creative. That's what I would say is probably the toughest thing.
Last question, what do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for? Like photography-wise, videography-wise is just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's so cliche, but just like making you feel something when you see like my work, you know, like I take a lot of like pride and time in making my photos like something special that like I actually want people to look at and be like, wow, this is not what I usually see. That's kind of what I feel is like my biggest strong suit, especially in like music, when it all kind of blurs together. Not the music, the like, you know, there's a lot of photos that are kind of like, I think I've seen that before, you know, like I want mine to kind of look different. And then as far as like being a person, like I hope I'm just remembered as being like a kind and like giving person, I guess.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you so much.
It's actually quite a requested interview. I've gotten a few DMs to have you on this. So
I'm really shy, but thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.